Are we cozy now? I was really trying not to go for the cult vibes with the candle, so I thought the fireplace would be a good substitute. So it's the second day of September, happy Labor Day, but to me it's the second day of the beginning of fall, or the fall season. I'm ready. You can see I am jamming it up with fall. Got my fireplace, got my candle, got my tea, and I got my Halloween-esque sweatshirt. Also, it's really hot in here, so I might change halfway through this video, but I'm ready. I'm ready for fall. I want to wear pants and drink hot tea or coffee and cozy up and read a nice cozy book while it's cold outside. I'm sick of summer, okay? I'm done. I'm done with summer. I want sweater weather. I am just getting in that mindset. And Anna asked me the other day, do you have any cozy fall books on your TBR? And I was like, that's a good question. I do, matter of fact, have a big list of books I want to tackle. So thought I would share that with you guys. I have 3 categories of books I want to tackle this fall. I have a cozy category, I have a spooky-ish category. I'm a huge baby, so they're not really that spooky. And then I have a miscellaneous category for books that I just want to read that don't really fall underneath the fall aesthetic. So with that, I will jump into it. First up, cozy books. What do I mean when I say cozy? Well, I associate cozy books with books or stories that are low stakes, they're uplifting, they're warm, they're maybe a little emotional. And for me personally, I also think that reading books with magical elements sometimes is cozy. Like growing up reading Harry Potter, it might have helped that the first book and movie literally had a Halloween setting, but anywho, I do have some fantasy books in my cozy books list. I have a couple of physical copies of the books, but also some ebooks. If I have a physical book, I'll hold it up. But the first book I want to read is actually an ARC that I applied to get from the publisher, and I'm super surprised that I got accepted. I feel so lucky to have gotten the opportunity to read this ARC, and that book is The City and Its Uncertain Walls by Haruki Murakami. And this is actually Murakami's first book in 6 years. I believe it came out last year, but in Japanese, so the English translation is finally coming out, I think at the end of November. Super excited to get to read it beforehand and let you guys know how it is. I feel like Haruki Murakami books are hit or miss for me. There are some that I really like 1Q84, Norwegian Woods, but some that just scarred me a little bit. The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle. If you know, you know. I did really like the premise of this book. It was described as a love story, a quest, an ode to books and the libraries that house them. So I'm excited to read that book first in this upcoming fall season. The next book I want to tackle is A Man Called Ove, or Ove? A Man Called Ove. Is that how you pronounce this title? Okay, I googled it. It's A Man Called Ove. Ove. Excuse my Swedish, I think he's Swedish. Yeah, he's from Sweden. So it's by Fredrik Backman, and I see this book recommended so much on Reddit, on Instagram, on YouTube. I've heard really good things about this book. It has very good reception. I've heard this book is a heartwarming, gut-wrenching story of an elderly old man. He's a grumpy old man, but his life and experiences are changed when a family moves into him next door. I'm fully expecting to bawl my eyes out with this story, but I think it'll just be a very refreshing and heartwarming book for this autumn season. So I'm excited to read this one and just have a good cry. And I think it'll be sad, but with a positive message. The next cozy book I have is The Healing Season of Pottery, a novel by Jons Holmen and translated by Claire Richards. This was actually an ARC that I picked up after I did my summer reading challenge at my local bookstore. Saw this in their list of ARCs and I believe it has the same undertones as another Korean novel I read recently. It's categorized as Korean healing fiction, and that book was Welcome to the Hyunnam-dong Bookshop. I love that book. It was just the perfect book to read before I went to bed. It's very low stakes, very slow paced, but very positive and very cozy. I believe this is kind of along the same themes of that book, but instead of taking place in a bookstore and associated with books, this one takes place in like a pottery workshop and probably has to do with pottery. But I feel like making art is just a very healing craft. This is just another slow-paced, gentle book, and I think it'll be a good one to cozy up with before bed. The last two cozy books on my list are Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, a novel by Heather Fawcett, and the other book is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. That one is at hold at the library. I believe I'm like 12th place, so I don't think it'll come to me until October-ish, but that's fine. I'm really excited to read that one near spooky season. And these are the two fantasy books that I have. I just feel like the magical elements in this and the other book just fit very well with October, with Halloween, the association with magical beings and magical creatures. Excited to read these two as well. Next category I have is spooky books, and spooky books kind of sounds like what it is, you know, a little scary, you're on your toes while reading the books. And I'm a huge baby, I can't handle horror, so none of these books are really in the horror genre. They're mostly thrillers, I believe, and they're essentially very tame spooky books. The first one was actually a recommendation from a fellow booktuber. Her name is Marissa. She recommended this one as a good introduction into thriller since I don't read much thriller. The only two thriller books that I've read this year is The Silent Patient and Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This will be my third thriller book this year, and I think it's best to go into thrillers blind so you're just oblivious to what's gonna happen and then you can be taken by surprise. So I didn't read anything about the plot. I assume it'll be about the girl on the train, but that's the extent of what I know about it. I'm excited to be kept on my toes with this one and not too scared. The next book is not really a thriller. I actually don't really know what it is, but it's Bunny, a novel by Mona Awad. I've seen this recommended a lot as a book with unhinged protagonists, and I've heard this one is also best to go into blind, but I've heard it described as Mean Girls, but in book form, and something to do with sororities and bunnies. I've seen this with the subcategory of horror on Goodreads. I'm really hoping it's not that scary. I don't think it will be, but this will be my second spooky book. The last two books I have is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas and Creativity Inc. Overcoming the Unseen Forces That Stand in the Way of True Inspiration. Don't judge me on this one. This is a book I'm borrowing from my friend Christine's friend, Rachel, actually. So thank you, Rachel, for letting me borrow your book. I've read the first 5 this year. This is the 6th book of the series. I was first introduced to ACOTAR, A Court of Thorns and Roses, at the beginning of this year, and it's a pretty engaging series. Like, you kind of fly through the books. They're very high-paced. It's quite gigantic, though. It's a little daunting to me, but my friend Anne ripped through this in a week, hoping I rip through it as well. I've heard this one is really spicy, so I'm excited for the spice in this, since none of these are really heavy on spice in terms of romance. And the orange cover, you know, fits right in with October. Don't judge me on this one, but this is on my list. The last book was actually recommended to me in the comment section of my memoir YouTube video, so thank you so much for leaving that comment. I picked up this book from the library and expect to read it this fall. It's in the miscellaneous category for a reason, since it's not fall themed at all, but it was one that really caught my interest. It is from the co-founder of Pixar Animation. His name is Ed Catmull, and this book is Creativity Inc. Overcoming the Unseen Forces That Stand in the Way of True Inspiration. And I believe it's only part memoir. It's about Ed Catmull's journey of founding Pixar and cultivating the culture there. Also maybe a commentary on management. I'm really hoping this book is less of a lesson and more of like an inspiring inside scoop or insight into the ins and outs of such a large creative company like Pixar. Pixar had a big impact on me as a child growing up, so excited for this book. It's quite thick. I don't think I'll breeze through this, but who knows, maybe it'll be really engaging. I hope it's really engaging. This is my only nonfiction book in this list, but I'm excited for it. I know it seems very daunting to have this big stack of books, but I'm not planning on going through this in just September. I'm planning on going through these books in September, October, and maybe a little bit in the beginning of November, because that's still fall, right? Anything before turkey season is, well, even turkey season's in fall, right? I don't know. Anyway, that's my fall list of books. Maybe if you're interested to hear my thoughts on these books, don't forget to like and subscribe, because I will definitely be posting a monthly review of one of these books at the end of this month and next month. And let me know what books you have on your TBR. Like, do you have any cozy books? Do you have spooky books? Do you have just like random non-fall books? I don't know. Like, am I the only one doing this? I can't be the only one choosing fall themed books. I'm sure there's even more like fall themed books too. At this point, I'm just rambling. Anyways, thank you for joining me today. This is my fall autumn TBR video, and yeah, thanks for joining. See you on the next one. Bye.